My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Doing so at the, let me repeat that, 9XEN750, 9 Xavier Edward Nancy 750. This appears to be a Caucasian female driving a white sedan. She is stalking. She is creeping, driving at a slow speed at the same time as I am. She's tracking my steps. These are demons that know where you're moving and where you're going. And it appears on the surface as traffic, for example. But they're actually, and that's, the context is that they do it under the fake sun and engineer light, under the fake moon, etc. And they do it while the government is doing things such as stalking me as an airport, stalking as a police department. This is the entity that is tracking my steps. License 9XEN750 is at 5:22 a.m. as I am walking off of the property of the Ontario Town Square, where the city of Ontario is stalking, keeping me under surveillance. The entity is, I just want to be clear, this third party is stalking. This is why they are puncturing my feet at night with needles. stalking me. That's the entity that lusts after my bodily fluids, the same one that stalks me in bathrooms, the same one that molests me with impossible light activity from miles away, where light is not reaching, light is not touching, light is not behaving in the manner that I've shown. License 9XEN is, 750 is stalking on behalf of the Ontario Police Department at 5:22 a.m. and is engaging what is threatening behavior, driving at a slow speed in order to drive as close to me. That would be north on Euclid Avenue, as though they're going to stop at Wells Fargo. This demon that's monitoring proceeds past Wells Fargo through the Wells Fargo parking lot and then parks in reverse and is on camera. Good. She's on camera at the ATM. So I'm going to document an image of this. But this is the third party that's monitoring with all the rest of them that aren't stopping at Wells Fargo. They're going past the speed lights. They're stalking as well. This is the entity that's engaging in what is coming next to you into the bathroom stall. All right, the adjacent bathroom stall, stalking in the path close to you while all the rest of them are pacing around. This is the iteration of that outside. Okay, and this is the entity that is stalking indeed on behalf of the Ontario Police Department, who are engaged in criminal summoning, sounding their sirens while the people of the state are surrounding me at every direction with methods of light. This is license plate again, 9XEN750. This is P.O.C. It's 5:26 a.m. and it is March 4th, 2026. License 5 Mary Larry Charlie 369 is stalking in front of the abandoned storefront at Treasure Banquet Hall. They're doing so in contact with the people who you could hear pacing. They're doing it in the engineer light. You'll see the picture of the fire extinguisher, fire extinguisher that I took a picture of. It's got 3 shadows. This is engineer light that they're engaging in. And this third party stops on the side of the road with regard to aiming light in the path. Okay, the entities engaging in the P.O.C. while they are stalking, then they get out, go to the ATM, stalking, then they get out and walk somewhere else. And it does not matter where you are going or what transaction you engage in. This is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct, though. Conspicuous stalking is just that. They are following from place to place and doing so while they're engaging in the pattern of conduct on behalf of the state. Doing so under items such as a fake sun and a fake moon is the identification of that P.O.C., especially while they are doing so with regard to the the method of stalking with light in the path. Okay, this third party, as you can hear, the amplification of the ATM and engineered light. This is U.S. Bank and Wells Fargo are both documented gang stalkers. The Ontario Police Department flying in circles over my head at both venues. The entity keeping the fake sun rising and setting over the same street where the people of the state are surrounding. Going to the banks as I am crossing path with them is their method of surrounding me with light. The demon that comes next to me in the bathroom while all the rest of them are pacing. That's what Euclid Avenue traffic is. It's P.O.C. And it is 5:30 a.m. U.S. Bank is gang stalking while the people of the state use it as a venue to engage in conspicuous surveillance. This is a Caucasian male. This is 333 North Euclid Avenue. This is P.O.C. And this is criminal activity. This is threatening behavior. This is stalking in a demented manner in furtherance of murder on behalf of the Ontario Police Department. P.O.C. It is currently 5:31 a.m. All right, the people of the state stalking in the path at 5:32 a.m. This is the pattern where the entity is maintaining a method of light activity. And this is stalking in the dark. And this is what I'm showing you while I'm walking around in the dark at 5 in the morning. The entity is engaging in the pattern of stalking with light. This is the purpose of a fake sun that remains over me all day long. And it is equally threatening, it's equally ominous, and it's equally stalking. This third party, 8 Yolanda Mary Kelly 759, is a part of the same entity, engaging in that psychopathic and criminal method of stalking on behalf of the government, the Ontario Police Department. It's gang stalking, and this third party shares in that, while the entity parks at a distance away from the corner. And as they approach the corner, they know that I'm documenting them. I'm going to go ahead and document. It's a white pickup truck. It's a Ford F-150, and they come to the intersection. License 8 Apple David 2346. This is P.O.C. They are pacing, and they're doing so at D Street, and I believe this would be Laurel. D Street and Laurel at 5 5:33 a.m. Both third parties are engaged in the same criminal pattern of conduct. The entity engages in a tactic, oh, I'll park at a distance from you, and then I'll speed away. Okay, your third party that are right, the third party co-defendants are all stalking together, and they are engaging in that pattern of conduct as a city. And I've shown that that pattern of conduct is the reality. This is the entity that's engaging in terrorism while they are stalking you with light, and this is appreciating the centrality of the fake sun, fake moon documentation, because it is equally as threatening as someone stalking in the dark, aiming light. You're not sitting in the dark with your headlights on, they are aiming light. The engineered environment, the stalking by the state directly, the stalking by the people of the state vicariously, their ongoing demented behavior with light is showing the purpose of that, and it's not less threatening. You're understanding the significance with regard to what the demons are doing while they're monitoring you and they're stalking you and they're plotting your murder. And it's demented while they engage in this conduct, and it is underscored in the dark at 5 in the morning. This is P.O.C. It's 5:35 a.m. All right, stalking in the path with light includes license 9 Sam Mary Yolanda 825. License plate 9 Apple Henry Uncle 467. This is a white Ford Explorer, I believe, and doing so on what is D Street and Fern. I'm looking at the address 321. That will be 321 Fern. This is the P.O.C. The entity engaging in the same thing where they live, as though you're protected. This is the malice behind that system, though, that you could do any and everything where you pay rent or occupy a space, and that's absolutely false, and it's absurd, especially when you are present on behalf of a government that has no warrant or probable cause to maintain surveillance, as the people are, in furtherance of murder at that. License 8 Edward Bob 622. The people of the state maintaining light activity, turning their vehicle lights on, a method of stalking with light in the path. The same thing when you're walking on the sidewalk and you're being molested with impossible light as you cross path with their facilitating venues. They're not private properties. The same thing when the fake sun remains over your head while you're crossing path with them and they are gang stalking you conveniently while they're inside of their facilitating venues. The same thing when you're walking through the neighborhood and the entity is surrounding you with the amplified sound of sirens and they're all crossing path monitoring you at their facilitating venues. They will be federally prosecuted, and it is equally unlawful. They are acting on behalf of the state, and you do not have the use of private property to commit criminal activity. That's not the purpose for those laws. And it's also speaking to public corruption, where the entity will be subject to raids where they reside. They'll be subject to federal prosecutions at the easy means, with the easy means of knowing exactly who you are and where you're at, because you're engaging in the federal offense. You're engaging in terrorism where you reside. And that's the entity's pattern of conduct of gang stalking, and the P.O.C. also demonstrates that. All right, it is currently 5:39 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, the housing structure, the apartment complex, that is a third-party facilitating venue, meaning every resident, the employees that are managing the property, the entity that is maintaining any sort of presence by visiting, are gang stalking right now. It's currently 5:43 a.m. The entity surrounding Ontario Plaza Apartments, which is a third party that is gang stalking. The entity is engaged in the pattern of stalking with light, surrounding with light at the intersection of Bonita and what is Vesta. And also at the attorney's office. This is a gang stalking attorney. That's an oxymoron. Documented at what is San Antonio Avenue and Vesta. This is where they're surrounding the perimeter with light activity. Crossing path is license plate 7 Paul 50814. Stalking in the path with light, making sure that they are maintaining a method of light activity, doing so while I am walking in or traveling in any direction. This is the purpose, and this is, like I've stated, and like the P.O.C. shown, you're understanding the significance of a whole fake sun in the first place, so that everyone everywhere is monitoring. The entity is supplementing this light activity at dark and nightfall. The entity is keeping a fake moon that's moving as I move, turning down the streets as I do, with a fake moon right now. They are indeed stalking, and this is an ongoing cooperative effort of stalking, which is a threat, and that's a threat under the law. And the entity is doing so on behalf of the Ontario Police, who are tracking every step that I take, every word that I utter, every device that I use, everything that I'm publishing online, and everything concerning my vagina as well. License 8, Victor Zebra Victor 256, is sharing in that criminal pattern of conduct with an entity that is engaged in that ongoing criminal ambitious endeavor to stalk at every turn. And the entity is doing so with a supernatural flair because these are demons. These are demons at that. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 5:45 a.m. Ontario Plaza Apartments are located at the intersection of Bonita Court and Vesta, and I have documented this venue very heavily. Every time I walk over here, they're gang stalking. The entity engages in surveillance, stalking with light. This is what you're doing, parking in the parking lot at any point under a fake sun that's rising, under the fake sun that's over my head at the point in the middle of the day, under the fake sun that's setting, like what I'm showing you at the venues of OVITT Family Community Library, Stater Brothers. They're stalking with light as well. When you're looking at the ridiculous light activity, that's the purpose. They're stalking with light. The entity is engaging in that with the government that has shown that it is indeed stalking, and that's your nexus with what the people of the state, demons, in a subservient status, third-party agency exists with regard to that shared demented pattern of conduct, which is all committed in furtherance of a real plot by the government that has conspired murder. Is sharing in that government's criminal pattern of conduct, is sharing in that criminal conspiracy to commit murder, and any and all demented third parties stalking with light are prospective murderers. Where the entities engage in that and the gang stalking police departments are engaging in the malicious pattern of conduct and are sharing in that criminal activity. They're not engaging in any investigation where an American citizen that's being targeted has lost their life. They are engaging in that criminal activity. They're playing cops and robbers when they're stating that, oh, it's suicide, oh, it was self-harm, they had a drug overdose, or oh, they disappeared, we're conducting a search, oh, we are going to conduct an investigation, when they were gang stalking the entire time, which the Ontario Police already shown to engage in that. So now you're looking at a context when you're looking at shows like Dateline, where criminals like LAPD are celebrating a case that they solved. These are cases that they're engaging in creating, criminals that are then celebrating their engagement in playing cops and robbers, making money, getting attention, and it is the entity that's engaging in this very system. You're not investigating anything when you're engaging in surveillance. Moreover, surveillance that you are not reporting to the entirety of the American society, because the people of the state are gang stalking as malicious benefactors of the privacy rights, the rights of individuals under the Constitution, but they are not that. They're engaging in the government's P.O.C. And that's the pattern of conduct. It's currently 5:47 a.m. I want to document Ontario Plaza Apartments. This is P.O.C. All right, as you'll see in the video documentation regarding the prosecution of the people of the state, Pepe's towing is engaged in prolonged conspicuous surveillance, which is a threat relevant to civil damages, and also the federal prosecution for criminal charges. Pepe's towing is engaged in a conspicuous surveillance in the parking lot of the Ontario Village Shopping Center, where I'm showing you the Ontario International Airport is engaging in the psychopathic pacing, hovering over this parking lot, doing so while the fake sun is rising, as I captured, and the entities engage in that shared pattern of conduct by the Ontario City Hall, gang stalking under that fake sun that's set yesterday at the same OVITT Family Community Library, where they're pacing in the path. This is what they're doing at the Stater Brothers Shopping Plaza. This is the P.O.C. I want to document Pepe's towing. They are headquartered in Ontario, 745 West Holt Boulevard, and the license plate is 10660 Victor 3. Pepe's towing service is engaged in criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder, and so is the third party operating that vehicle. The entities engage in that with knowledge of documentation as well, so that's always incorporated in the federal charges. And with regard to damages, the ongoing threat psychologically while an entity is engaging in this, in that specific environment and on behalf of the government. This is P.O.C. Remember, the entities engaged in that pattern of conduct while keeping the evidence that you accumulate, that you create, that you publish online, that you use your devices to capture. They're keeping it under surveillance as well. This is relevant to prosecuting Pepe's towing, that is a terrorist and a sex offender engaging in the demented pattern of conduct. They are not free to be in the specific environment engaging in surveillance with the government. This is how the government is cloaking itself to stalk you everywhere. And they think that they're clever doing that, while the people of the state maintain presence in the obviously absurd environment that's serving for what is monitoring. This is P.O.C. It is,
And let me also mention Pepe's Towing, which is a documented sex offender. They're already on the record molesting with impossible light, for example, at Motor 111 North Lemon Avenue. Stalking in the path, engaging in that behavior pattern, they're already on the record. Pepe's Towing is nothing other than identification, for example, of a license plate. They represent the people of the state. They're monitoring while the entity's amplifying train activity. That's Union Pacific and Pepe's Towing. 8828 Beach Avenue, Fontana, California. Fontana is a gang stalker, by the way. 2000 West Key Street, Colton, California, 92324. Colton, California is a gang stalker, by the way. And you also have the address in Ontario and Rialto, 2775 North Locust Avenue, Rialto, California, a gang stalker. That is, by the way, reference to the Ontario Police, the Rialto Police Department, the Colton Police Department, and the Fontana Police Department. All of those entities are documented, gang stalking me in particular. Pepe's Towing is a third party. This is a Latino male, fat face, glasses, short buzzed hair, and he has a beard, and he's engaging in the P.O.C. just like he is yesterday in the video that I'm capturing, the prosecution of the people. And in the images, you'll see the time when I'm arriving. I'm capturing the first image, and he remains for over an hour, and then he drives out of the parking lot. This is the when I began creating my video showing all of the people of the state engaged in psychopathic pacing while Pepe's is maintaining presence in the engineered environment under the fake sun. That's the light activity. The plane after plane after plane after plane, cartwheel after cartwheel by the planes, and Pepe's just sitting there monitoring me. Okay, this is the P.O.C. That is California license, by the way, 117433. This is serving criminal conduct at the entity, the Ontario Village Shopping Center. Every third party that's driving by, psychopathic pacing, they're sharing in that criminal activity together. Just want to be clear on that as well. This is state action that Pepe's is engaging in, and I will prosecute that third party for facilitating the criminal conspiracy to commit murder while they're also making money. It's a federal RICO case, and they're engaging in what is repeated gang stalking, which is also an escalation regarding federal charges. It's currently 5:52 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, sexual assault and battery by the entity that is engaging in the physical touching of my person with engineered light while they are stalking. It is a sex offense to prosecute the government for. That touching with light is pursuant to criminal activity, stalking, and they're doing so as a population. They're doing so with regard to criminal monitoring, which is committed in furtherance of murder. And you're understanding the greater purpose of it. It is in that specific environment, which is also getting to the criminality of that and appreciating it under federal law, and also the entity that's doing so without any warrant or probable cause while the state is thereby stalking you and unlawfully touching you for a criminal purpose to take your life. License 8 Edward Yolanda 240 is committing sexual assault and battery, and so is Stater Brothers at 646 West Holt Boulevard, and so is the Ontario Village Shopping Center at Holt Boulevard, in between San Antonio Avenue and Bonita Court, where the fake moon is over me. It's currently 5:55 a.m. and this is the Stater Brothers that is, by the way, filled with engineered light, the parking lot, the fake sun, and the fake moon's over me right now. While the entity is engaging in the same exact conduct as I'm walking in the streets, they're sitting in their vehicles with their headlights on. This is the ominous stalking, and this is the threatening conduct of Stater Brothers, the third party that's engaging in threatening together. They are making money while threatening and stalking, and you're stalking as an establishment, as that behavioral pattern and as that environment follows you around, and on behalf of the government that maintains no warrant or probable cause nor legitimate interest. License MBFRESA, MB Fresa, Mary, Barry, Frank, Robert, Edward, Sam, Apple, is engaging in sexual assault and battery, stalking at Stater Brothers. 7 Frank Kelly David 227, engaging what is sexual assault and battery, stalking at the Stater Brothers, and doing so on behalf of the government, the Ontario Police, such as C. Gerber, who you see stalking me under the fake sun yesterday morning, that fake sun that remained right there at that same OVITT Family Community Library / Ontario City Hall / 280 North Lemon Apartments. Okay. P.O.C. License 6 Robert Larry 479, sexual assault and battery. So is Miss Donuts at 658 Holt Boulevard. This is an Asian couple maintaining a business where the people of the state are committing sexual assault and battery, stalking and going in and making a purchase. It's the same thing with going to the bank, stalking in the path, molesting with light, going to the bank ATM, doing so while that environment is following. The environment is facilitated, maintained by the stalkers themselves, the people of the state. 6 Victor Paul George 020, sexual assault and battery. 7 Frank Kelly George 430, sexual assault assault and battery, they're engaged in psychopathic pacing. And this is maintaining what is unlawful profiting. One customer after another, while they're pacing in and out, they're going as customers to Miss Donuts, and they're going to be federally prosecuted. It's a federal RICO case. That's the unlawful profiting while you're gang stalking, and that business is gang stalking under those circumstances, and the Ontario Police Department are gang stalking. 7S29322. And the entity is stalking while they are following me, including while you are at the venue before me. It's not a matter of chronology. While they are stalking me going to the venue, Stater Brothers. Stater Brothers is being prosecuted for the ongoing unlawful threat and stalking as a venue. License plate LS2Q. And they are gang stalking at facilitating venue, the apartments right here on San Antonio Avenue. And this is the third party that knows that she was documented. She's gang stalking early in the morning. You'll see her license plate captured in the images. There are no coincidences under the fake moon. There are also no coincidences where you hear sirens. The entity starts sounding sirens immediately. This is an entity that's engaging in surveillance of evidence to make a decision to continue stalking, like Pepe's Towing, like the OVITT Family Community Library, for example, is to speak to what is the necessity of federal prison. This is a female operating this vehicle. She is documented gang stalking in the parking lot, which is letting you know also, by the way, that they are in fact gang stalkers, whether they're parked in the parking lot or whether they're engaged in sexual assault and battery crossing path with me stalking. I am capturing them when they are at the facilitating venues where they reside, and this third party is gang stalking at the place of residence, which is a facilitating venue. I documented her yesterday, March 3rd, 2022, and it is in the prosecution of the people of the state video that is published on YouTube already. It's a Florida plate, LS2Q. The entity is engaging in what is retaliatory conduct while I document, and there is no such thing. You'll be going to federal prison. All right, the entity sounds sirens as I document that as well. They're engaging in where they know that I'm at, Stater Brothers, facilitating ongoing harassment by a population, which is terrorism. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 5:58 a.m. where the entity is sounding sirens under the fake moon and engineered light on behalf of serial stalkers such as Pepe's Towing, such as Stater Brothers at 646 West HOLT, and the people of the state that are engaging in what are stalking me upon me documenting them. This is like the fat Caucasian woman with the double chins that I highlighted in images of her gang stalking me inside of the venue of Stater Brothers. And then as I'm referring to her at 12 in the afternoon, she is literally very imprudently at the entrance where the entity is stalking, and she is also at the entrance stalking at 7 in the morning, and then 5 hours later under the same fake sun, and doing so pursuant to what is no coincidence. As I refer to that demon, she is engaging in ambush conduct as a stalker that is unhinged with hostility, while I refer to her as an example of one that is subject to federal prison engaging in stalking, an iteration of that. All right, this is the same Stater Brothers. This is P.O.C. None of them, the government doesn't have any warrant, because this is what's actually happened. There's no warrant or probable cause to engage in stalking at the grocery store, and that's what the government is doing. And you're going to prosecute the people of the state for that. That's an unprecedented threat, and it is domestic terrorism. This is P.O.C. That's amplified plane activity, and I am currently on the surveillance cameras at Stater Brothers, who are monitoring as they unlock the store. This is P.O.C. It's currently 6 a.m. All right, it is 6:02 a.m. and what you'll observe in the images that I'm capturing today, it is still March 4th, 2026. I am capturing an image of a stalker that is aware of the fact that they were documented at their facilitating venue, and their awareness is relevant to criminal surveillance by the state. Their awareness is proven through the specific environment where they are at the grocery store in relevant position gang stalking. And this is relevant to what I documented about this third party who is now operating the vehicle to engage, that is gang stalking on the roads and the highways, on behalf of the entity that sounds sirens as I begin discussing her. And this is no absence of any, there is no coincidence here, sharing in what is the pattern of conduct with regard to your knowledge, because you're not inside of your vehicle, you're not operating it while it's in the parking lot where I walked through this apartment complex on San Antonio Avenue yesterday, March 3rd. Secondly, you are paying attention to the entity that is gang stalking at Stater Brothers. It is like a exclusive nightclub. When I am arriving at the early hour when it's open, they have customers now waiting to get inside of the grocery store at 6 in the morning. And I'm just pointing this out because it's not a matter of whether it's you're able to do that. You actually, under the law, are not able to do that. Just like what the government's doing with planes and helicopters and as a police department, because they surmise that you know nothing about criminal surveillance. And that is poisoning everything. You're not able to do that. And you are also doing it because you are stalking. That's why Stater Brothers has a line waiting for admission like it's a nightclub at 6 o'clock in the morning. They're doing that while multiple shadows are around. Engineer engineer light is flying around. Psychopaths like Kia are gang stalking me while she's focusing on the ads, and engineer light is appearing next to me. That's the entity that's, again, mentally ill, very malicious, and is engaging in what is the pattern of conduct with knowledge of everything documented about them. 7KRX529 comes and commits sexual assault and battery, and this is another employee. Okay, I've documented this chunky one before. She's gang stalking as a third-party employee engaging in that P.O.C. with real-time knowledge. So as I refer to her mentally ill coworker, this is an opportunity to commit sexual assault and battery. All right, this is what they're doing when I walk outside of the store. The airport is stalking in the path, engaging a cartwheel right in alignment with me. Engineer light is on the wall inside of the Stater Brothers. Impossible light activity. How is that there? In other words, you're targeting. And why is the airport that has terminals 2 and 4 at 2500 Airport Road maintaining cartwheels in perfect alignment with that entrance door coded in engineer light? You're stalking. Why is the sun still over me at this same address 6 hours from right now? You're stalking. And you are tracking my steps, and that's what an employee is doing, committing sexual assault and battery. That's Stater Brothers committing sexual assault and battery. That's an employee of Stater Brothers committing sexual assault and battery pursuant to real-time knowledge, like what this third party with the Florida plate, engaging what is stalking as though it's an exclusive nightclub trying to get into Stater Brothers, and that is based on stalking me. Okay, be mindful of the fact these are people that are coming from their homes and then trying to bust into the bathroom at 6 in the morning. Okay, coming from their homes at any point in the day. You're just getting to what is gang stalking. Very highly unintelligent, never anticipated an intellectual and legal reasoning of the criminal system, and also never anticipated what would be logical. When I go to the grocery store, when I'm coming to and that's after I started getting deliveries, but going to the grocery store, even when I was a kid, my mom never went to the public restroom. It's not that it's not there, not that you can't use it, that's not the point. You're not coming from home to use the bathroom in public. Typically, you're not doing that, and you're engaging in the pattern of conduct while you are engaging in whatever you think that you have a right to do under the law because you think nobody knows what's going on. They know exactly what's going on. I'm telling them, and you're going to federal prison for that. So the entities engaging in this P.O.C., I just want to be clear, it is this ongoing buildup of excitement wanting to get into the Stater Brothers grocery store. Okay, and that's based on the fact that the target individual is going to the Stater Brothers grocery store, and I'm there typically early in the morning, and that forces the people of the state to be there as well because they are stalking. Okay, and that's again getting to the buildup of customers that are engaging in the pattern of conduct. Good morning, how are you? Good morning. This is the entity that's a psychopath. This is the entity that's engaging in the pattern of conduct with full knowledge of everything that's documented about them. While they're smiling, you think good morning, and engineer light is slapping across the ceiling and across the side. That's a psychopath. And I want you to hear their voices. I want you to see their faces. I want you to see their outward demeanor. I want you to listen to them talk to me at the Ontario City Hall as employees while you are simultaneously gang stalking, because that's the ongoing reality regarding the malicious pattern of conduct of those who are unintelligent. They're just numerous. They are mentally ill, they're wicked, and they're accustomed to successfully murdering people and framing them as being mentally ill when the reality is that mental illness resides with this entity that would utilize planes and helicopters and your whole business operation, all of your employees engaging and focusing on one, and that's the reality. That's why you have engineer light outside of the bathroom, because you're a sex offender. And that's why when I'm documenting sexual violence at another venue, not even at the venue where I'm encountering you, you're seeking to falsely accuse me for something that's happening at another place. This is what the OVITT Family Community Library is engaging in when the Stater Brothers is engaging what is trying to burst into the bathroom, and I'm making video documentation out of it, because it is the shared pattern of conduct that's underway at OVITT Family Community Library. And the entity is also engaging in that as follow me, because the entity is interested and is inspired and engaging in criminal obstruction, which is relevant for more time in prison and greater damages, because the entity is engaging in what is my publishing evidence regarding the shared pattern of conduct of the gang stalking libraries. Chino Branch Library engaging what is expelling me from that venue upon documenting the fact that they are gang stalking, and that's already on the record, and it doesn't change when you target me by expelling me upon having violated no rules, and you are in violation of the law. In fact, the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct while they are engaging in what is then expelling me from the venues. And as I'm showing you, the city of Ontario is engaging, and they do so while maliciously targeting and even manufacturing information, merely doing so because they think they have the right to do that. They think they have the right. That's an actual defined purpose, having the right to do something, the authority under the law. They are abusing an ability to engage in that because the entity is corrupt. You don't actually have a right. The reality is that you don't have the authority to do that, but they are engaging in that because they are accustomed to getting away with it. You don't have a right to, especially as the government. That's San Bernardino County. Okay, that's engaging in that. That's Fontana Lewis Library. That's Chino Branch Library. And you also have what is City of Ontario, OVITT Family Community Library. That's the government. That's engaging in discrimination as they are sharing in the criminal pattern of conduct. And as I just dissect the facts, they don't have any that are supporting them. Okay, and whether or not you are engaging in what is just, I don't care about because that's what the entity, I don't care about the facts and we're just going to expel you and whatever. The entity is engaging in what is always going to remain the case under the law. The pattern of conduct is underway. So that's the government discriminating against you while the government is engaged in that shared pattern of conduct. This is what C. Gerber represents, gang stalking me by handing me a letter by the City of Ontario that is also captured on that same day, psychopathic pacing under an enduring fake sun at that same address, while they are at the same time claiming that I am filming people in the bathroom. There is no genitalia on any of my evidence. Evidence, by the way, that they are referring to, admittedly so, in that very documentation, written documentation. It's a concession, it's an admission, and I will be using it in court. And this is my courtroom right here. The entities engaging in what is not helpful to them with regard to wanting to, oh no, we're not engaging in surveillance. Yes, you are. They are unintelligent while they make these ongoing admissions. In their minds, they are imprudent. This is an entity that is focused on, oh, you know, shucks, Chino Branch Library. This is the evidence where I'm at in 2022. I'm unveiling the pattern by the gang stalking libraries. And coming up in the evidence is Chino Branch Library with the Chino Police Department under the fake sun that I'm showing until morning until evening is the entity that's engaging in what is then expelling me from that venue, just like the Fontana Lewis Library, just like the entity that is gang stalking at the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library, just like the Upland Public Library, where they are engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct. That is absolutely unlawful, and it is the government engaging in that. Where the government, by the way, has no warrant or probable cause to keep me under surveillance via these libraries, and the entity engages, what the reaction is, oh, we're going to expel you, and we're going to accuse you of that which we are actually committing, and we also know that you're documenting it. Not only is that the character of Satan, it is the corrupt government that is absurd with its level of hypocrisy. And it is a basis of prison because they're not just picking on me and hurting my feelings, they're gang stalking in furtherance of murder. And by the way, there is no statute of limitations. While Ontario OVITT Family Community Library commits this offense in the morning, while the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library commits this offense as of 2026, this is letting you, there's no statute of limitations regarding what the Upland Public Library committed in 2022, what the Fontana Lewis Library committed in 2022, what the Chino Branch Library committed in 2022. Okay, they're still engaged in that pattern of conduct, and that entity that is gang stalking, there is no statute of limitations, in fact, at all, but there also literally is no statute of limitations because they're still engaged in that P.O.C, including while they call themselves being ahead of what it is that I'm publishing for you. This is an entity that is very much behind. While they're focused on what you see on the date that I publish it, it's informing you about what are their criminal purposes while they call themselves jumping ahead. You're not jumping ahead of anything. You're showing that you are indeed engaged in the pattern of conduct. You're showing that you are indeed that stalker that's engaged in criminal monitoring, surveillance, and you're unintelligent. And this is the entity that never planned to be exposed. But I just want to document that. The entity has, number one, an exclusive, ongoing line out the door, right? I'm being facetious, but they have customers that are waiting to get in at 6 o'clock in the morning in the dark. And the entities engaging what is coming from their homes to come and use the bathroom in the public, and they have to use it so bad that they keep going back and forth and trying to break in. Oh, can I use the bathroom yet? Can I use the bathroom yet? And this is the entity that's doing so where any person that's conducting an investigation, moreover, but average people, it's not that you've never used the bathroom, that you've never had an emergency. It's just that it's highly unlikely that this is the case, that you're coming from home to use the bathroom at the grocery store, or coming from home to come and use the bathroom and leave, because that's what the entity is doing while they are pacing, stalking me wherever it is that I'm going. And the entity has never planned for their behavior to be analyzed, to be focused on while they are targeting another person. But that's the reality, and under any and all circumstances, I don't care if you have diarrhea, if you have some sort of issue with your digestive tract, they're doing it under the fake sun. They're doing it in engineered light. And that is the pattern of conduct. That inexplicable light is the direct evidence of intentional activity creation. Monitoring vagina, which is a sex offense. and no basis for the government, where that is underway, to exclude you from a government venue, especially when that is used to publish the evidence whereby I am showing that I am in need of what is protection. The government is threatening my life and actively engaged in that criminal conspiracy to commit murder, including by Sean Thrasher, excluding me mysteriously from the venue, having nothing occurring before that. And what they're stating is occurring is a matter of evidence. Absolutely nothing happened on March 2nd in the bathroom, other than the ongoing gang stalking, but nobody was even sharing space in the bathroom. The entity on that particular day did not bust into the bathroom gang stalking me, and I also didn't take any picture, which is no violation of anybody's privacy, showing that presence is in the bathroom, if that's what indeed I'm focusing on when you're just looking at. They're making so many assumptions that I'm focusing on the legs, which is nobody's genitalia. I'm looking at the light activity. That's not breaking into the bathroom stalls. You're not violating someone's privacy to be in custody of your phone. You're also making an assumption based on, again, you're not gang stalking. You don't know about what it is that I'm talking about. You certainly shouldn't know that I have a YouTube channel if you're not engaging in surveillance. I talk to the librarians every day because they work there, and I've never told them, you know, I'm a lawyer. And like C. Gerber is lying about, he knows that I have a legal background. And how do you know that? This is the unintelligent admission of nervous demons who are very fearful. And they hold that face up as though they're unfazed by my video that I'm capturing, but then when I'm publishing it on the internet, they're going berserk with helicopter activity, and they're scared to death while they're gang stalking at the same time. Their fear is an unlawful threat to my life, and they are absolutely intimidated and fearful by my ongoing documentation, which is exactly what you're going to do when that entity is stalking you in a bathroom. The entity is engaging in the admission to stalking in the bathroom while they are engaging in that pattern of conduct and coming to the a grocery store at 6 in the morning, doing so as an employee, doing so as a third-party customer. This is just getting to the logical common sense breakdown regarding what the entity is actually doing. And they engage in literally gang violence and groupthink. Nobody thinks. They think if they operate as such, which is an indication regarding what is the inferiority of the minds of demons. If they all engage in it together, then that makes it normal. And that's literally the purpose behind gang stalking. They establish the normal, and they do not. They do not. They are showing the standard is that the population is mentally ill. The Nephilim are in need of martial law. Okay, that's the established standard. This is P.O.C. This is the threat of the mentally ill population that is engaging in criminal activity with the state. It's 6:15 a.m. All right, sexual assault and battery is underway while the entity has a fake sun aimed on me as I exit the entrance of the State of Brothers, where the State of Brothers itself is sharing a vagina monitoring. Doing so as they are listening to what is, under all circumstances, the federal prosecution of an entity as a violent sex offender. License 7 Victor Sam Mary 370. Bathroom monitoring is criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder. This is the pattern of conduct happening in a private space, proving the government to be a sex offender, and the government's going to be put on the map regarding being prosecuted as a sex offender, businesses being prosecuted as a sex offender, because this is how the government is engaging in that sexual violence. 9 SAD 377. 7 Apple Charlie Sam 628, surveillance at the front portion of the parking lot, just sitting in their vehicle. This is another iteration of keeping your headlights on, stalking in the path. This isn't the sun, and the sun is here as a matter of video evidence. It's here 6 hours later, where, for example, the double chin, fat Caucasian female with the curse womb, she's stalking at the same entrance while the fake sun's over the top of my head. 7 Paul Larry Nancy 467 is an employee gang stalking vagina monitoring with his coworker. 47735 Charlie 4 and 8 Edward Yolanda 240. Psychopathic pacing. Okay, 4 hours from now, Ontario police are flying circles over my head where this fake sun is still here. This is giving you the context regarding vagina monitoring that a population shares in. All right, and they're doing so under the fake sun. This is the same parking lot where Pepe is towing, are under the fake moon. Documenting while they're going to Miss Donuts. The fake moon is where the fake sun is rising. License 8 Yolanda Nancy Sam 081. The entity that is a sex offender keeps its fake sun and its fake moon. Its fake sun rises and sets on my vagina. The entity is the same with the fake moon, okay? I am the center of the universe of the demon possessed. That is literally the evidence of being the target. Okay, license 8 David Charlie Henry 228, and this is an entity that's listening to its ongoing exposure. Just want to be clear, OVITT Family Community Library discriminating against me is shared criminal activity with the entirety of that entity, including Stater Brothers, the corporation, which shall be federally prosecuted. It's an unlawful threat to the life that they pose together. Every business, every license plate, every household address. This is in every, remember, I documented Monrovia Police Department. I documented Metropolitan Police in Las Vegas, Nevada. Every single last one are being federally prosecuted. They are acting as an entity. And my evidence shows that it is a seamless, ceaseless, ongoing pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. It's currently 6:37 a.m. All right, stalking with the state. That sounds train activity at 514 Vesta Avenue under the fake sun. That's Union Pacific, license 8 Robert Sam Apple 718. That's the P.O.C. The entity is acting in sync with the audible activities, stalking me with noise, stalking while the fake sun is here, and stalking in the path. That's a third party who doesn't need to have the headlights on as a method of stalking with light. The fake sun is remaining over me. The fake sun that's still over me, for example, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon when I'm walking down the same street. License 8 Larry Wendy Henry 907 is a third party sharing in that psychopathic pattern of conduct, stalking you as a population with the city of demons. License 9 Xavier Thomas Robert 019, and that is Union Pacific. That's going to be federally prosecuted for terrorism, for vagina monitoring, all the same, the conspiracy to commit murder, even though that's not even the actual train that is heard throughout the entire city of Ontario. But they're going to be federally, state actor is going to be federally prosecuted because the entity is maintaining the guise of Union Pacific as the form of that audible activity under all circumstances, and they're going to be federally prosecuted for it. This is P.O.C. Union Pacific documented stalking with the possible light. Union Pacific documented stalking with the Ontario Police Department, also the Pomona Police Department, and the entity is doing so, as I've documented, Union Pacific in Nevada. The entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct with the entity in furtherance of the same P.O.C., doing so with knowledge. That's tracking my movement. As you hear that train activity, that's the evidence of tracking my steps. 9NJJ963, license plate 9 Henry Larry 749, stalking at Vesta Avenue and Vine Avenue. Vesta Street and Vine Avenue with this third party that's stalking with light activity with the city of Ontario that you hear. License 8 George David Zebra 149. That's a blue Kia, stopping it. That's a male. He's stopping at the street, turning his hazard lights, surrounding with the city of Ontario that you know are gang stalking me with the dumpster trucks. That's Paul Leon, that you also know that entire office is gang stalking. That's what I published on the internet yesterday. The city of Ontario is gang stalking. The city of Ontario that empties the garbage. The city of Ontario that utilizes the utility trucks. The city of Ontario that provides housing services. I've documented every aspect of the city of Ontario gang stalking me, as Paul Leon and the Ontario City Council are funding domestic terrorism and furtherance of murder, and that is the federal prosecution of terrorists. The City of Ontario is also doing so with the Ontario International Airport. That's that criminal role that documentation shows, and it is showing the entity that is also not ignorant about that, especially while they're flying over the City Hall, while they are pacing outside of the City Hall, while the fake sun is over the City Hall, while the entity is stalking and terrorizing by helicopter at that City Hall, while the entity is maintaining engineered light at that City Hall, while the entity is making unfounded allegations regarding an admission of surveillance. That's the only way that you would make that such allegations, because you are in fact the stalker that I am documenting you as. Okay, otherwise I'm just somebody that's in the a black hole, and nobody would even know about my evidence, because I certainly don't have 1 million subscribers. So this is an entity that's engaging in what is admitting to keeping me under surveillance, and you don't have an interest in that because it is the government, and that is the exact argument that applies here, while the government tries to engage in what is unlawful under all circumstances. But this is also why they're so ignorant, because they are corrupt. They are corrupt. They don't even know the law, while they are violating it and abusing it to commit that violation of the very law that they refer to. All right, that's why you have such a slam dunk with regard to the asininity and the audacity of the state. It's like, what are you doing? What are you even talking about? It's ridiculous upon ridiculousness. But this is the entity that's engaged in that. That's the City of Ontario, using the resources of the city, using the venues of the city, and then discriminating against me as I expose the city that has conspired my murder. And that is speaking to what is no public official that is going to be accepted from the federal prosecution for terrorism, because this is how terrorism is occurring in the U.S. Okay, we're not all living outside in caves and in stick houses. Okay, we're in the United States. We're so-called civilized, and this is how terrorism is executed in the U.S. And guess what? A terrorist leader is identified as a company CEO. A terrorist leader identified as a so-called chief of police. A terrorist leader is identified as even a manager, a director at a venue. These are terrorist leaders whereby the entity is engaging in what is exercising a position of leadership that is abused for purposes of targeting, and that targeting is serving to commit murder. Ongoing war tactics against an entity. They're acting as the government that has no legitimate interests under the state and federal constitutions, and doing it maliciously in a manner that's supposed to result in that American citizen that's being targeted being defamed. The audacity of psychopaths, okay? That's the entity that's engaging in this, and it is entirely triggering while an entity does this to other people. This is what I've been confronted with. This is something that would trigger anyone, and then they're calling that entity, the entity is referring to that American citizen as mentally ill when they're triggering that person. All right, this is the malice of that. That's not the practice of medicine, and it's certainly not the practice of law, while the entity is relying on each other to defame, kidnap, and steal from. All right, which is what the entity is engaged in all of the above to me. And the entity did so with regard to what is forgetting about a whole long track record. And by the way, you were still before and after you were caught. You maintained this ongoing track record, and you're going to prison for it. A lot of people, including Jason Isaac Fields, okay? Trying to block off my path. And you call yourself blocking off my path while, and the reason why it is specific to Jason Fields, Tracy Banks, these are demons that are leading as gang members, these are the ones that thought that they had some perfect plot. Oh, we're going to defame her, we're going to gang stalk her, make her look crazy, we're just going to keep on stalking her until she, has a breakdown, and this is what they thought was going to happen. They're projecting their mental illness onto another person. It's a projection while they literally have group sex with animals, with kids, with each other, people of the same gender. They're mentally ill, they're drug addicts, they're criminals, they are, and that's not exaggeration. And so are all the other cult members that are sharing in this criminal pattern of conduct. How else do you think I have a whole city of, in the Southern California, as I've documented it, sharing in the pattern of conduct? These are demons. These are demons, and I could not make up the fact that I go to any random city. I go to Chino, I go to Azusa, I go to Monrovia, I go West Covina. The same pattern of conduct is underway. I don't have to know your name, it's the entity. Now, that's something that is supported with evidence. This is an entity that surmises this is the plan. If we just keep targeting, eventually that American citizen is going to break. Yeah, that's not what happened. What you're looking at is the entity breaking. They're the ones that are snapping. This is where you get to false allegations, these allegations that don't make any sense. And then there's a whole constitutional argument behind what the government is doing. The government that doesn't have any strategy with regard to being proven to be engaging in the unprecedented allegations that are asserted by a target individual that is never going to snap. I'm not going to break, you're going to break. And that's exactly what they're doing. The entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct while they are targeting with people like Tracy Banks and Jason Fields, who are personally led. These are people, the entity needs somebody in your personal life to maintain. All of the entity has been removed from my life, all of them, while they're conspiring my murder. And the entity even tries to use that when you're an adult and you're not obligated to talk to anybody. They're trying to use that as a means of defaming your character, and it's absurd. Okay, but this is relevant to what is a corrupt system that's designed to facilitate kidnappings. But the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct with regard to targeting. Jason Fields, the entity, the military, the federal government is targeting via the Ontario Police Department. And they are acting vicariously with the people of the state and the city of Ontario. So it is directly relevant to state actors, terrorists like Jason Isaac Fields, who are not being provided any sort of access into my life while you are oppressing. In other words, this is the big picture of what the tactic is. I will oppress you until you call me and express need for me and permit me back into your life. That's psychotic. And that is that serial killer that is gang stalking as a career. All right, this is that sex offender, that rapist that violates women, violates men as well, in order to get their way. This is the entity that's utilizing the ongoing domestic terrorism as a means to coerce, because that would never be any sort of voluntary relationship, in the same way that it is documented with Tracy Banks. What is she doing when I'm in her apartment? What is she doing when she's in my apartment in Los Angeles? What is she doing on the roads and the highways when I'm in her car? What is she doing at any and every place where I am present? And the entity is stalking by helicopter at Upland Walmart, at the Ontario Walmart. The entity, while I'm literally on Holt Boulevard, the entity is stalking by helicopter. She's a terrorist. And the entity's mindset, this is because they are sick, and that's because they are for sale. And that's also because this entity is accustomed to having people in a position where they become one of them. Right? And you're going to federal prison for that, because you have a right as an American citizen to not be forced and coerced into becoming a gang member. And I will not. You're also not going to steal from me and then try to gang stalk me into providing a narrative before the federal government to state that, oh, I didn't fake a marriage with you. We really are married, and we're working our relationship out, and that's why I called him or her or whatever. That's a lie. And my evidence is showing, regardless of when I communicate with Tracy Banks, it's never any sort of evidence speaking to the fact that she is not targeting me. I'm always documenting the fact that she is gang stalking me, that she is not trusted, that she is a threat. And because I'm in your presence while you're stalking me, the ongoing pattern of conduct is underway, and you are stalking me. That's what I proved in her apartment. This is an entity that's engaged in ignorance under all circumstances, and Jason Fields is going to federal prison for that. But nonetheless, this is the theory behind the imbeciles who lack any strategy. You cannot coerce or force me to do anything. And because the entity is fearful of evidence from 2022, I don't even have to. You're already prosecuted. It's already done. I'm documenting proof and evidence of the fact that this is the pattern of conduct, and this is what they've been engaging in the entire time. Look at what they're doing and how they engage in that ongoing targeting system while they are being exposed. This is what they're doing in the dark when they think no one is watching. And it's even worse. And it's very horrible what they're doing to me, somebody that is legally skilled, someone that is over all of them with regard to the ability to show you what they're doing logically, reasonably, legally. Okay, principally, how it's going to be under federal law based on this criminal system, what justice requires, based upon, you contrast that with what are gang members just putting their noggins together. Actually, they don't even put their noggins together. They just practice chaos. This is why you have ignorant demons that are saying things that's not helpful to the entity. You probably shouldn't have said that, and you're an ignoramus, so you don't understand under the law how I can extract that statement, which was an admission right now, or that behavior, which is an admission right now, because these are demons that are inferior. All they do is stalk, and they kill, and they rape and steal from people and threaten them, and that doesn't work against me. You're not no demon, no vagina monitor can intimidate me. And you are certainly not, and the feds need to pay attention, creating no relationship between myself and Jason Fields or any other sex partner or Tracy Banks by gang stalking, because that's exactly what this entity has sought to do. Oppressing me and then seeking to find a way back into my life through gang stalking. That is literally Satan, who is not going where I am going. And I am going on time. And you're oppressing, and stalking is relevant to where you're going, which is prison, if you don't drop before then. And that's not me wishing death. That's you that sent out a spirit of death that is not even going to approach me. It's not even coming in my direction. That's you. And it remains with you. It resides with you, sweetie. All of you know who you are. All of you celebrities who I've never met, who did not pay me $1, making songs about my life while you're monitoring me, who are very well familiar with my vagina while you watch me on the net, while you monitor me in the spirit. All of you that sent out spirits, the spirit of death. You're watching your ongoing demise, while a raggedy Ontario fake police department is engaging in what are loser strategies. It's not stopping what's happening to you in your life. It's not stopping that which you have reaped in your existence. You serve Satan, you go down with Satan. And by the way, he's laughing because he's going to go on to the next. You have been used. Jason Isaac Fields represents someone that I will never voluntarily communicate with. This is not a friend, and it will never convert to that. And even being in my presence is not establishing that under the law. All of the criminal activity that he has committed against me, all the criminal activity that he's engaged in, it does not under any circumstances establish me as being any part of it or having any knowledge of it, because this demon gang stalks me in person. or gives me a writing. It's the same analysis with Tracy Banks. I'm not a part of the criminal activity that she's a part of. That doesn't make me a part of it. This is literally what their rationale is. Oh, and then if I get back in touch with her, and then I can put all the my criminal acts on her and put it on her, and that's not going to happen. Neither is that how it works under the law. It's established who I am and what it is that I've been subject to, and also the implausibility that I'm just acting with over 7 years of evidence. Okay, this is the ridiculousness of the entity stating that I'm a sex offender, and I guess I'm just leaving out the genitalias that I'm stealing pictures of my evidence, and I'm just putting everything else on the internet in my public investigation. I guess that's what the city of Ontario plans or thinks, that while the feds are watching, or I think they're taking a break and they think that no one's going to notice that. Like I said, this is imbecilic. All right, this is Neanderthalic. It's barbaric conduct. These are animals. This is the Nephilim. They're not intelligent beings. They are ill-equipped, unprepared for this level of exposure, for what was going to happen when they plotted merely a murder like they've done over and over and over again. This is an entity that's engaged in this, and it's an ongoing unlawful threat. The entity that's engaged in 7 Uncle Victor Charlie 941, stalking in the path at what is Laurel and C Street at what is also 6:56 a.m. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and I just want to be clear that there is no establishing any connection with Jason Isaac Fields. Any marriage that he has to me on paper is just that, and it's while I've been subject to kidnapping, serial kidnappings, that he and this entire entity is aware of. There has never been one moment that this entity was ignorant about my whereabouts while they're claiming that I'm dead, collecting insurance policies, stating that I am alive and that I'm somehow, if I communicate with you or if I'm in your presence, first of all, that's a voluntary circumstance. It's not. I'm being gang stalked. And everybody that I'm around, am I not documenting them? That will never make what is me being a part of that criminal conspiracy. But I just want to be clear, because there is no circumstance where Jason Fields gets out of prison. There is no circumstance where Tracy Banks gets out of prison. Or the people of the state. It's impossible to frame me for what you have committed. I've been maintaining this investigation long before you saw on the horizon that it's not looking good for you. I was already conducting this investigation because I've been ahead of you. This is an entity that's engaging in corruption, and it's disgusting corruption. And if I were a criminal, it would not be this. And I would be a lot smarter at it. I'm showing how sloppy they are, how disorganized they are, how psychotic they are, delusional they are. When you are caught and you're still engaging in it, license plate for Mary Victor David 761. The shadow of their vehicles is a means of molestation. These are psychopaths stalking. Their obsession is shown through that impossible light. 9 Victor Uncle 342, psychopathic pacing on Laurel. This is the 235 North Laurel Avenue, the chiropractor's office where the entity has the fake son, and this is where they're pacing. But nonetheless, this is the entity that's engaged in that, so I want to make sure I provide that ongoing context. There is no means of oppressing me that's going to create a relationship. I'm not going to be with some psychopath. And this is an entity that's obsessed with me. You're gang stalking, and why are you talking about relationships and marriage? I am not concerned about that. Moreover, I will never be concerned with anybody that was in between Tracy Banks's wrinkly thighs. Thirdly, you co-conspired my murder. In what reality do you think I care or would have anything to do with you when you are sitting back monitoring me in the spirit and gang stalking in the physical, and you have not been a hero for one day ever in your life, and you've never been a hero for me? While you call yourself representing my interests, you're a liar, and the truth is not in you. I'm representing my interests, and you are oppressing me through puppets of the city of Ontario. And for that, you're going to prison. This evidence is going to reach you, and you know who you are. You're not an investigator, you're a stalker. And this is the unprecedented evidence regarding that unprecedented criminal system. This is P.O.C. All right, it is currently 6:59 a.m. And this is the city of Ontario gang stalking. All right, don't forget what you saw yesterday, because I will be prosecuting Paul Leon for conspiring my murder. The city of Ontario is engaging what is discriminating against me, and there's a documented pattern, not only by the OVITT Family Community Library, the city of Ontario, but by the gang stalkers throughout Southern California. Fontana Lewis Library, Chino Branch Library, Upland Public Library, all of them are surrounded with the evidence of gang stalking me in furtherance of murder while they engage in those criminal acts of discrimination. It's not a civil matter, it's criminal. It's a furtherance of murdering me and trying to obstruct justice. P.O.C. All right, stalking at Wells Fargo, where the fake son is over me. License plate 9 Henry Larry 043, 9 Robert Victor Robert 757, and 7 Wendy 0 Yolanda 865. They're engaged in federal stalking on the roads and the highways. That's the government utilizing the channels of interstate commerce to maintain criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder. That's amplified audible activity, breaking it down, while they are crossing paths, psychopathic pacing. 9 Edward Zebra Kelly 428 driving an engineer light. That's at the same downtown Ontario luxury apartments, OVITT Family Community Library, where C. Gerber is under the fake sun at 10:04 a.m. The fake sun is over me, as you already know. It's on the record, and right now it's 7:02 a.m. This is indeed stalking, and it's stalking by every business as well. This is P.O.C. 320 North Euclid Avenue is stalking with the City of Ontario. That's amplified plane activity amongst what is the specific environment. The fake sun is remaining over me. All the people in the state are sharing in sexual assault and battery, stalking me with the City of Ontario. License 9, Kelly Zebra Robert 416 at what is 7:03 a.m. They're engaging in surveillance via the Tesla charge station. This is the same entity that molests me on the opposite side of the town square. They're doing so. The daytime iteration is keeping a fake sun over me and amplified noise over me. License 8, Paul Frank Victor 013. David Jerry 65 Charlie 39. 9, Thomas Bob David 578. 9, Frank Paul Wendy 658. Crossing path by an Asian female getting out of her vehicle whose license plate I'm going to read right now. They're maintaining pacing, and I've already captured the fake sun and the engineer light inside of this parking garage of downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments, and also the sunset where C. Gerber is on video after 6 p.m. at this same venue gang stalking. He's on video and in images yesterday at 10:04 a.m. gang stalking me. License 9 Sam 0 Zebra 385 at this same location. License 9 Henry Apple Kelly 174. They're sharing in surveillance with the airport, who is surrounding me by the people of the state. These are third-party agents of murder, okay? This is P.O.C. License Bob 0, Bob Apple Jerry 0. They're engaged in surveillance inside of the 320 North Euclid Avenue, downtown luxury apartments, which is the same plaza, the City Hall, the senior centers, the senior apartments where an airport is hovering over them. This is where I showed you the City Hall are demons that are pacing under the same exact fake sun. Those are demons that are in positions of government that are being exposed. Okay, these are demons, and when you're just looking at the fact that they're demons and they're engaged in this, this is letting you know that they're murderers. They are engaged in criminal activity. They are corrupt. They're engaging in criminal surveillance and violation. The direct opposite of what the government is supposed to be engaging in is what the City of Ontario is engaging in. And that's what you're being exposed to, what you are learning while I'm showing you their demons and they're pacing under the fake sun. It's the same P.O.C. All right, this is the entity that's engaged in that. So while the airport is stalking, the fake sun is here. They are in relevant position, gang stalking, and so is Sarah's Regis Group, downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:05 a.m. and that's the ongoing pattern of conduct, as I've shown. The entity parked at the OVITT Family Community Library, which is closed, maintaining presence in the path and doing so, maintaining surveillance. These are demons that are engaged in that P.O.C. with a level of obsession, which is an unlawful threat. License 9 Edward Zebra Kelly 428. That's the one that crosses path at the turn circle and is parked at the library. Mana ADCH CBS 9 MEG 376. They're gang stalking while the entity is targeting with commercial planes and smaller government planes while picking up the elderly gang stalkers at the 280 North Lemon Apartments, the place where you saw the fake sun after 5 p.m. P.O.C. It is 7:06 a.m. All right, just as analytical note, the image that I just took at 7:06 a.m., I'm standing at the same location where 3 hours from now, C. Gerber is in my face with a gun on his hip and a badge representing some authority under the law, which he does not have, and that's why he's going to federal prison for stalking and dressing up in costume as a police officer with authority under the law. The authority that is exercised by that agency, nonetheless, to engage in this criminal system is relevant to what is public corruption in concert with the people. It's not the actual authority under the law, and that's also why you're going to prison. The picture of the fake sun that you see at that same position is relevant to what is occurring 3 hours later, while C. Gerber, representing that entire agency, and stalking with this same airport, literally in video, and right now, at 7:07 a.m. 3 hours later, the fake sun's in the same position over my head at that same turn circle location. Southwest Airlines is on video gang stalking, and the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking now while I'm showing you what is non-movement of the sun. That's an airport that's sharing in the criminal conspiracy to murder with the people of the state. They're engaging in this while C. Gerber is your visual. And this Ontario City Hall is your visual as well, because I'm capturing the Ontario City Hall under the fake sun as I walk into that venue during the 1 p.m. hour. And what you're looking at the fake sun, that is to what is the east of my person, that is, and it's still here over my head at 10:04, 10:17 a.m. And it stays there while the employees of the City of Ontario, the City Hall, are pacing. That's the context. You're not walking, minding your business. You're pacing, you're stalking, you're monitoring. You're engaged in surveillance. While the entity's engaged in that, you're mindful of the fake sun that's over me at the Ontario City Hall, which is what I'm facing when I'm capturing this 7:06 a.m. fake sun. Just want to point out, you're looking, the image is showing the Civic Center area, the City Hall, and that fake sun is in the same position. And it's zenith over the top of my head at a brighter yellow color, which would be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 6 hours from now. That's the significance of what I captured. You look at my video, my images captured at the City Hall, and you look at what I just captured right now, and you're also witnessing the entity that is obviously engaging in that criminal pattern of conduct, not only because planes taking off from the terminals will not include any sort of nuisance, which I'm documenting the evidence of the nuisance. That nuisance is relevant to criminal surveillance. And they're also doing it while that environment is stationary, idle. That fake sun is positioned. That's where the entity is stalking. And that includes the Ontario City Hall. This is P.O.C. and it is discrimination on its face, and it's discrimination in substance, where the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct and then providing me a written documentation regarding an admission to targeting me. All right, it's currently 7:09 a.m. This is psychopathic pacing by the Ontario Police, psychopathic pacing by the people of the state. The psychopathic pacing is relevant to what is remaining all around me, while the entities of the entity of demons are obsessively stalking me in doing so. And I'm showing the fact that it's proven under what's a fake sun that remains over me. This is P.O.C. It's 7:10 a.m. Okay, it is currently 7:35 a.m. and I remain at the Ontario Town Square. And just as an analytical note, the totality of the pattern of conduct is underway on a ceaseless basis. The entity engages in the same pattern, the same cycle on an ongoing ceaseless basis. This is stalking by a government. The stalking by the government is underway by businesses like Wells Fargo. The Ontario Town Square is a facilitating venue, facilitating violence against myself, an American citizen, in violation of constitutional and human rights, and in violation of federal law, such as Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2. This is proven through the body of evidence showing what is an entity that's engaging in conspicuous surveillance, which is what traffic is. This is the entity that's engaging in what is stalking on the roads and the highways, and that's where traffic is occurring under the fake sun, occurring amongst impossible light activity. And this is where predators are cloaking themselves as being a bunch of private citizens that are going about their business, minding their business, and it's the absolute opposite of that. They also don't have any protections under the law, and they are also state actors, not private citizens, stripping themselves of those protections upon the pattern of conduct. It's the same thing with gang stalking police departments. They are not under any circumstances engaged in what is the execution of the duties of officers. They have no protections. They have no due process rights that are afforded to such positions and statuses upon the pattern of conduct. Upon the pattern of conduct, you are going to be prosecuted as what you are, and not the ability to abuse those positions, which is the whole point of stalking as a police officer. Okay, to get away with murder and kidnapping, and then to benefit off of protections that are designed to provide a constitutional due process rights to those that are engaged in the execution of the duties of officers, no matter how imperfect it may be. This is not imperfection. This is terrorism. This is a malicious system designed to murder and kidnap. All right, so I just want to document that. But where I'm at the Ontario Town Square, 224 North Euclid Avenue, the fake sun is here at 7, okay? The entity, it's specifically 7:37 a.m., but I've been here before. I documented the fake sun. That was 7:06, 7:03. You just listened to it. So I've been here about 30 minutes. And I'm letting you know the fake sun's in the same position when I'm standing at the entrance of the city hall and it's over the top of my head. This is that illusion. This is the entity's ongoing delusion that they are doing anything other than what is clearly engaging in surveillance, which is exposed. The illusion is gone, okay? The entity's engaged in this where the entity is keeping a fake sun. Hours from now, that's where the airport is stalking. That's where the entity is stalking as a department. That's where a population is stalking, including when that venue is where you live. That makes what is a very convenient means of documenting the pattern of conduct. This is an entity that's engaging in conspicuous surveillance, and this is the entity that engages in that, and that's supposed to have an effect on me, the target individual, when it's an effect on the entity that's being federally prosecuted. And this is where you have imbeciles providing evidence that they are stalking, evidence that they cannot deny. Was that the plane? Yes, that was the plane. What are the planes doing in that area? Explaining what are takeoffs from the airport, explaining the published takeoffs and arrivals from that airport, explaining what is going to be, and as a matter of agreement between the city and the airport, and also what is occurring in the sky space at this location, this ecological address, the latitude and longitude, the distance from, and with regard to taking off, all of that, those details with regard to what is blatant stalking. And it's also defined by what is the P.O.C. showing they're stalking under that fake sun, and that malice is already shown. That's the imbeciles that are providing evidence against me when they sought to affect me. It's not affecting me. I'm prosecuting you, but these are the demons that are unhinged. Okay? Hours from now, 2 hours from now, when Wells Fargo is open, the demons are engaging in the same psychopathic pacing. They're pacing on the roads and the highways. They're pacing in the sky space over me. They're doing so in the environment surrounding the malice, whereby they're engaging in it, very unintelligent. They're engaged in conspicuous surveillance, coming around and sitting at the Ontario Town Square. They are engaged in surveillance with the state. Why? Because C. Gerber is not in his uniform going to come and sit down and engage in what is that criminal pattern of conduct of stalking in the path. I'm identifying his name. I'm showing the impossible light activity. I'm documenting that department that's supposed to be engaging in what is the execution of the law, not violating the law in that obvious manner. So you are necessarily to engage in that system, doing so through the third parties who are cloaked in that same demon-possessed uniform, if you will, in that specific environment, under the fake sun, in that engineered light, under that fake moon at that same venue. The absurdity of the environment where the police are stalking vicariously through the people. Conspicuous surveillance is an exceedingly violent, not only sex offense, but it's an unlawful threat posed by that government. Police are stalking in uniforms and as departments to get away with murder and kidnapping and waging false allegations against people while they collect a paycheck and call it law enforcement. This is the corruption of the executive branch throughout the states. Okay, so I want to get to that because 2 hours from now, like when I'm documenting at Wells Fargo, when they're parking in and out of the Wells Fargo parking spots, including the employees, and they are driving in and out of the parking lot, the entities maintaining this ongoing psychopathic pacing by plane, in and out of the parking garage where the fake sun is still present here at 7. 2 hours later, the same parking garage, pacing in and out, stalking with light, while the entity maintains all manner everywhere with regard to psychopathic pacing. All they're doing is going all around me, stalking all around. That's all they're doing. And they're mentally ill while they do that, and everyone can see that as I provide clarity about what they're actually doing and the environment that they're doing it in. The entities engaging in this 2 hours from now while Wells Fargo are stalking with light in the same manner. The people of the state are on Euclid Avenue, and I'm being accosted with light, which is impossible, inexplicable, and you also know that that's not any sort of figment of my imagination because I've documented them for years stalking with impossible light. Strolling across the sidewalk, moving up and traveling, swimming across walls, shooting up and ricocheting on ceilings, creating multiple shadows above my head, dancing in the air of Starbucks, engaging in what is creating your shadows and swimming into the depths of the venue of the OVITT Family Community Library. This is the entity that's engaging in the absurd maintenance of an environment where they are indeed monitoring. And hours from now, Wells Fargo is a venue stalking me while the people of the state are engaged in psychopathic pacing in and out of the parking spots, one demon after another, touching with light after another, touching with light after another. That's the same pattern of conduct, and the fake sun is still here. It's not in Florida, which is 3 hours ahead of us. This is the maintenance of an environment that is supernatural for the purposes of surveillance by a demon-possessed, unhinged entity. And that is prefacing what it is that needs to be recognized. This unhinged character that is unmistakable, you cannot miss it, with regard to the demon-possessed is shared by the entity that is, for example, Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields. These are sex offenders. These are rapists. These are cult members that engage in violating the rights of people, just as the entity does that's gang stalking. But I'm getting into the details of those that are third parties whose name I know, if you will, state actors whose name I know, okay? I don't know the overweight security guard here. He's not a tool for the government to use to infiltrate my life, okay? And neither is Tracy Banks and Jason Fields. However, these are roles that they seek to while they are obsessively and equally unhinged gang stalking me. Okay, this needs to be known, and I want to document this. This is an entity such as Jason Fields and Tracy Banks who are obsessively stalking and doing so wanting to violate my right to say no. No, you cannot keep my vagina under surveillance. No, you cannot rape me. No, you cannot watch me and masturbate while you engage in looking at my nude body without my consent, without my knowledge, even with my knowledge while you continuously do so. This is what sex offenders like this sex couple, Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields, are committing. They are married and they are also sex partners. They are also cult members, and they are co-conspirators of my murder, plotting it. They're also thieves. They stole my money and my identity together. They lied about me being dead and claiming to benefit off of my death, having insurance policies, which is absurd. Tracy Banks did that. She's going to prison. The gang stalkers, the people of the state that are engaged in this pattern of conduct, they've got insurance policies out on me. This is the proof of criminal surveillance in the state. While the Ontario police are doing things like stalking me by helicopter day and night, if you're not, they're not, because they're unhinged. But that is clear connection regarding, oh, they're very corrupt and they target people in the way that I've shown. And this is why you have absolute strangers that know my name and identity, claiming insurance policies while, by the way, I'm not dead. And I'm over here documenting this entity gang stalking me. This is relevant to the entity that is hours from now under a fake sun gang stalking me in concert with Wells Fargo, where you driving your car is not going to touch me with light. The unabated program of psychological torture, where you're stalking me and you're obsessed with me, and that's supposed to cause me to be bothered by you, but actually it's causing me to document and accumulate a body of evidence that you're stalking me, which is going to put you away. And that is also not bothering me. This is an entity that is relying upon the fact that you care, and they're unhinged in that obsession. That obsession is personified through that environment, through that light activity. Also through the blatant stalking with helicopters and planes. They are indeed obsessed. Okay? And why would you be obsessed with somebody that you don't know in the physical? Oh, but they do know because they're demons, but we're prosecuting with tangible evidence. Why would ostensibly a stranger be obsessed with me? Because they are in fact demon possessed, and that's what you, the world, are learning about Satan and all of his minions who are fully exposed. They're walking around, spiritually speaking, engaging in indecent exposure because they are butt naked out here exposed. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and this is equally relevant to the unhinged character, the mental illness, the delusion of sex offenders like Jason Isaac Fields, who have, I've stated it before and I want to state it again, because this predator is in no position where you're giving information. I don't care if you are a witness for the federal government. I don't care if you handed over evidence. You will never be in a position, nor is anyone. You're not indebted or obligated to anybody that decides they want to save their own tail and provide evidence to the feds about what they were engaging in. And you don't owe them sex as a response. You don't owe them a child as a response. You don't owe them a relationship. You don't owe them communication. Jason Isaac Fields remains unhinged. He remains mentally ill. He remains an unlawful threat. That doesn't change because you are engaging, and I'm speaking in, theoretically with regard to the greater principle itself, and with regard to whatever Jason Isaac Fields calls himself engaging in. There will be no relationship after you have manufactured a marriage with me in furtherance of my murder, and it does not change and it does not sanitize your character. And I also maintain an ongoing personal right to say no. Only a sex offender, as unhinged, a stalker, a psychopath, that's engaging in, well, oh, I'm not a psychopath because I'm giving information to the feds, and that's not the truth. Both are occurring at the same time. You are a psychopath, you are a demon, and you've also provided information to the feds. While you are still monitoring me, you remain an enemy, by the way. The feds have jurisdiction over your federal crimes, and I maintain spiritual jurisdiction to block you from my life. It will not be happening. And you are a psychopath, equally unhinged as these demons stalking me in helicopters. You are part of that same entity. And this is something that has to be publicly mentioned, just like I stated earlier. This is someone that is a demon that is looking. I'm not going to be procreating with this psychopath, with this stalker that had, this is as demonic as it can get. You had sex with my mother, and then you're trying to have sex with the next person in the generation. This is Satan. It's not going to happen. And that's the reality, but I want to make sure that I document that this is a demon that's engaging in what is harassing me with regard to what is an ongoing, a satanic fantasy. But in reality, it's not going to happen. And I want to make sure that that's clear. And those of you that are listening, you need to understand that the wiles of the devil are desperate and far-reaching. This is an offer that is presented by Satan himself. And I would be a fool, not only a fool, I'd be suicidal, and I would be very much the opposite of who I am. Not only do I like myself, I don't like Jason. You had sex with my mother? I'm not interested. Thank you very much. That's disgusting. I'm going to puke. The very thought of it. But I want to be clear, it's more than just grotesque, it's demonic. Okay, that's speaking to moving, carrying on a curse that these people have put on themselves, that their ancestors put on them, and that curse has already stopped with me. And a cursed person like Jason Isaac Fields is not going to be one that's going to be the means whereby it's going to continue. And you're also not going to rape me in order to make that happen. You're not going to stalk me forever to make that happen. You're not going to force me to do anything and make that happen. Nothing. You're not changing my mind. And it's too late. You gang stalked me. You were between Tracy Banks' thighs. You went to the extent to marry her. Everybody in the world, everybody under heaven, all these demons that are hell-bound are listening to the fact that you will be publicly rejected. You and that offer go right back to hell where it came from. It will never happen. And there is nothing that you can give to the federal government that's going to change that. You made a deal with the devil, and that is an irrevocable bargain that you are stuck with, and you're going wherever that leads you by yourself. We chose differently, and I will never choose you. And the reason why I'm so passionate about that is because this is essentially the unhinged sex offender that is gang stalking and then supposes that I owe you something. What do I owe you, Satan? I don't owe you anything. I owe you absolutely nothing. It will never happen. And it is not God's will that it happen. It's literally in violation of scripture that anything like that would happen. And it's also nauseating, the notion that that would happen. It will never be happening. Tracy Banks conquered you sexually. You engaged in all manner of perversion with her and all kind of groups of other people at the same time as well. You will never touch me. That is disgusting. My children are not going to be cursed. My children are not going to come from somebody with the background that you have. You are an embarrassment. You are also literally a demon, an unrepentant one. Just giving information to the feds doesn't mean that you've repented. You're still monitoring. If you weren't monitoring me, this would be a different conversation. You are literally a demon. It's not happening. There will be no mixing of darkness and light. You're delusional. And this is for all the rest of you who listen. Do not take up the offer of the devil. You will regret it. And it is okay, and you are victorious to go with God. Because in the end, you win. Satan is a liar. Satan is a loser and wants you to lose with him. This is why I'm putting this on the podcast, because it's relevant to a threat to my life that Jason Isaac Fields poses. The unhinged stalking, and unhinged is characterized by stalking me as an airport, stalking me as a police department, stalking me as a citywide effort, stalking me and then trying to stop me from the ability to expose the fact that you're stalking me. That's a threat posed directly by this gang leader, Jason Isaac Fields, abusing his position in the military or in law enforcement to target me. And then what is this, double dutch? And now you're switching teams, and now we're going to, what scary movie have you been watching thinking that what direction this is going to turn? And moreover, you have no spiritual authority over me, and you have no actual authority over me. That's the reality. And when I say no, that's exactly what I mean. Now, you think that applies to everything else, but it misses you in this area. And it specifically applies to you and every other demon that has no opportunity. I am nauseated with you monitoring spirits, suggesting things out of the pit of hell that are never going to come to fruition. You remain Tracy Banks' husband. You remain the one that she's engaged in grotesque sexual activity with. You have tainted your vessel, and you will never be fusing with mine. That will never happen. That is out of hell. This is P.O.C. I want to make sure that that's abundantly clear, because this unhinged character of this entity that is stalking me is under no circumstances leading to any success with this demon trying to team up with someone like myself, who I am victorious in Christ. I am going with God, and Satan isn't going. Jason Isaac Fields is not going. He's also not going to touch me. He's not going to be in my life. He's not going to find weasel his way in. You're not going to be between Tracy Banks' thighs and then think you're coming over here. That's out of the question. It's ridiculously absurd, and it's demonic. That is demonic. That's the next thing to incest. That's exactly what Satan wants. You're literally monitoring now. How delusional can you get? This is unfortunate because you had a, excuse my French, a piss poor plan from the beginning. You lose. And you lose with regard to having anything to do with me. The choice, the option that you had years ago does not exist anymore. You remain what is the enemy. I don't care what information you give to the feds. The feds their job is to protect me from a predator like you. And any property that you have belonging to me, this is criminal activity that I'm going to prosecute the feds for. This is somebody that is in no position to deliver to me that which you stole, which you shouldn't even have custody of. It should have already been seized. It should already be sitting in escrow somewhere in the custody of the government. This demon is in no position to deliver anything to me, nor would I accept it from him. There will be no accepting anything from Satan. Satan has nothing to offer me. I have embarrassed Satan. I'm not fraternizing with Satan. This is the P.O.C. And these are the desperate links to which the entity goes. God's plan is going forward. Satan doesn't have the ability or the power to stop that. You're looking at an entity of demons that are desperate and ongoing, insufficient means to do so. But while you're harassing, while you're oppressing, while you're stalking and monitoring, guess what? You're already counted out. It's not happening, and I will never forget. You're already blocked. You've manifested that, Satan. When you were humping on Tracy Banks and it was the best sex of your life with this 60-year-old woman, right? When you were gratified and turned on by what you thought was going to break my heart, I could not care less about you having sex with your mother, my mother, your best friend's mother. You can have sex with whoever you want. What you do with your genitalia is your business. That's why you and your infections, that's your business. I could not care less. It was never God's will. That's why you made those decisions. And you can hear in the tone of my voice how I could not care less. You're going to stop monitoring, and you're also going to stop stalking, and you are also not going. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 7:54 a.m. where Jason Isaac Field's co-conspirators are gang stalking me, and that's not going to help them, because understand, a demon that I would associate with is a demon that's a spirit that seeks to go where I go, and it's not going. Satan's not going, and Satan is in denial about that. He's in denial. But guess what? Because you're in denial about it, doesn't change it. That these are demons that are, again, suicidal. They're incapable of dealing with reality. They typically kill people, steal, and do violence to people. This is what Satan does. He's a bully. And none of that is, you're talking about a tall spiritual brick wall. None of that matters. None of it changes anything. You don't have the authority to do so. They're struggling with dealing with that. And I'm documenting all the ways in which they're inflicting ongoing harms while you're struggling to deal with the reality. Because at the end of the day, these demons don't want to succumb to these death spirits that they send out. They don't want to succumb to these poverty spirits that they send out. They don't want to succumb to this mental illness spirit that they send out. And as you can clearly hear, it's not touching me. My mind state is pristine and immaculate. I'm prosecuting you on a moment by moment basis. There is absolutely nothing that you can say and do that's actually going to help you with regard to a defense. It's proven beyond a reasonable doubt. I win, including while all you have as a tactic, which is not a tactic, is to continue stalking, thereby proving that the pattern of conduct is real and that you're engaging in surveillance of the evidence, which is serving to enhance what are the inevitable federal repercussions. Yeah, this is the entity that's engaged in that. Gang stalking me and stalking in the as a demonic spirit is not, Jason Isaac Fields is not going to be the vessel whereby Satan is going to try to hijack what it is that I am doing for Christ Jesus, period. Period. He made the right choice, okay? He is engaging doggy style with Tracy Banks, group sex with Tracy Banks, okay? Gay sex with you and your boyfriends, whatever it is that you're into. You and all of that hell-bound festivities, you're staying over there. You're not coming over here. We are not friends. This is a prosecution. This is not personal. But as an aside, just as a personal note, you make me sick. You make me want to puke. Your spirit and what it is that you have decided to do as a human being, failing to merely repent. But that's none of my business. But what is my business is my vagina, which you're not going to force your way into. And I'm prosecuting the ongoing entity that's engaging in what is the sex offensive gang stalking and furtherance of somebody, this polyamorous predator who thinks that they can force their way into the life of another woman. And you cannot do that. You cannot do that to me. Maybe you did to every other female that's just like you. I guarantee they were demons, just like you. It's not happening. And the more you persist, the more judgment you heap on your own head. This is your demise. This is your downfall. This is your exposure. All right, I just want to make sure that that's clear, because this is an entity that literally is plotting gang stalking, and that's going to help. Oh, we're going to break her. No, you're not doing any of that. You're going to prison. I don't even know what you're planning on, where you think you're going when you're going to prison. There's no basis of immunity, and there will be a basis for correcting, but there is no immunity with regard to whether you gave information to the feds or not. You're not immune. You are going to prison. I remain subject to this pattern of conduct, and you are delusional to think that you're not going to be sitting in a cell, because you will be. You don't even, there's not even any pathway for it to practically occur. You're not going. This is P.O.C. It's 7:50.